I mentioned here on the channel recently that for 2021, I'm participating in a year-long collab called the Frugal Film Project 21. It's a group of about 50 cheap photographers like myself who take a cheap camera and go out and shoot a cheap roll of film each month and then post our results on the Frugal Film Project's Facebook page. It's not a competition, there's no prizes, but there are a couple of rules. Your camera has to cost less than 50 bucks, not a problem for me, and then you have to shoot 6 rolls of one black and white stock and then 6 rolls of one color stock. Now, since this time of year Ohio stays pretty gray for several months, I went ahead and decided to start with my cheap black and white stock, which is Fomapan 400. And just like I did for January, I shot the Fomapan through my Holga for February as well. Stick around after the images and I'll tell you why the Holga was the perfect camera for this shoot, and I'll share a mildly embarrassing story about the shoot too. Okay, the reason the Holga was the perfect camera for this shoot and my embarrassing story really both have to do with the weather. It was cold. Now the actual temperature was 27 degrees Fahrenheit or roughly minus 2.5 Celsius, which wasn't that bad, but there were 19-mile-an-hour winds which took the wind chill down to 13 degrees Fahrenheit or around minus 10.5 Celsius. I'd been out shooting in the cold with my Canon AV1 recently and it froze up on me. I lost at least 3 or 4 shots out of my roll. I had no such problem with the Holga. There's no battery, so you don't have to worry about losing power. The simple spring shutter fires just fine in the cold. Really, it's so simple, there's just not a lot of settings they can freeze up at all. Plus, I'd rather have the plastic Holga pressed up against me than a cold metal beast like my Pentax 6.7. Now, the embarrassing part is, even though there was really not that much snow out there, I still managed to get my car stuck and had to call AAA to get pulled out. To be fair though, I am driving a little 2009 four-banger with about 190,000 miles on it, so most of its get up and go has got up and went. So 10 years ago, I got my car stuck in the hills of Haydenville while I was out photographing, so if history repeats itself, I should be getting stuck on another photographic excursion sometime in 2031, so stay tuned for that. I shot this roll in Plain City, Ohio, and even though I'm glad I had my Holga with me that day, I can't wait to go back to Plain City with my Pentax 6.7 for another episode of Big Camera, Small Towns. But I guess I do have to wait for two things. Number one, I've got to wait for Ohio to thaw out a little bit. And number two, I still got to get that 55mm wide-angle lens off of eBay. I'll save the Plain City history lesson for that future episode of Big Camera, Small Towns. If you want to binge watch more old camera guy videos, check out the playlist at the end of this video. And until next time, do some good, have some fun, and shoot some film.